Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and on this video I am going to give you my match reaction for the Manchester United Chelsea game that's just ended. Chelsea 0, Manchester United 2 at Stamford Bridge. You know, the first time we have done the double over Chelsea in the Premier League era, the first time we have beaten Chelsea at Stamford Bridge in the Premier League since 2012, and it is now the third time we have beaten Chelsea this season. And of course, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has now beaten Frank Lampard 3 times as a manager. But overall, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got recommended in as Manchester United manager, he has beaten Chelsea 4 times. You know, so we have not lost to Chelsea since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got recommended in. Reflecting on the win, it puts us to 7th in the league, and we are now only 3 points behind top 4. So, you know, our top 4 ambitions are alive. Of course, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer went with a 3-5-2 formation. You know, he did make quite a few changes, you know, from the 0-0 draw against Wolves before the winter break. Of course, we saw Bay come into the team. That was Bay's first Premier League appearance since April of last year. Of course, we saw Matic coming back from suspension. We also saw Bruno Fernandes making his second Premier League appearance for the football club, and that's so he did make quite a few changes. Of course, Chelsea, you know, had Christian Pulisic out. He wasn't playing. Also, Tammy Abraham, you know, was out with injury, and that Zabi Costa was still out. But, yeah. So now, you know, I'm going to delve into, you know, the current game. So, of course, in the first 10 minutes, N'Golo Kante had to come off for Chelsea through injury. So they did bring Mason Mount on, you know, to come on for N'Golo Kante. I think Chelsea in the first half had around 7 shots in the first half. I think that's why I had around 3 chances for Chelsea. But I don't think in the first half Chelsea registered a single shot on target. Also, there was quite a few talking points in the game. Obviously, you know, there was a lot of people saying that Harry Maguire should have been sent off. You know, he was involved, you know, in a challenge with Batshuayi. Also, of course, I think Bruno Fernandes had fouled Willian in the box. You know, that was also a talking point in the game. I think, you know, Willian had been booked, you know, for currently diving. And then after that, you know, Martial had a glorious chance to put us 1-0 up. But obviously, you know, just put it wide. And then just before half-time, you know, Martial had put Manchester United 1-0 up. You know, very, very good goal it was. You know, and Wan-Bissaka had got the assist. You know, it was a lovely cross from Wan-Bissaka, and then Martial had headed it, and, you know, and that was 1-0. So that was very, very good. And Martial's got a good goal-scoring record against Chelsea. You know, scored against them tonight. Also scored against them earlier on in the season. Well, he scored in the 4-0 win on the opening day of the Premier League season. Also scored twice against them at Stamford Bridge last season. And of course, Martial was playing in that number 9 role tonight. But yeah, he had put us 1-0 up. Chelsea, of course, had to make another change because Christensen had also come off with injury. So he had to be replaced by Zuma. You know, he came on, you know, to replace Christensen, and then, you know, that was currently half time. And then in the second half, you know, there was a bit more action in the game in the second half, and that. Of course, Chelsea, you know, had 2 disallowed goals in the second half. You know, obviously, you know, the first goal they had disallowed, you know, was from Zuma. I think it was the correct decision, by the way, because obviously, you know, Azpilicueta had fouled Brandon Williams. He pushed Brandon Williams. And also, Chelsea's second goal also got disallowed through Olivier Giroud. He was currently, I think, like, was it an inch offside or something like that? So Chelsea, you know, did have 2 disallowed goals. But I thought Chelsea's, you know, best player in the first half, you know, probably was Kovacic. You know, like I mentioned, that's why I had quite a few chances. You know, our second goal, you know, came from Harry Maguire. You know, very, very good goal it was. You know, it came from the set piece. You know, Bruno Fernandes had put the corner in. Harry Maguire headed it, and that was 2-0. And that's Harry Maguire's second goal for the club in all competitions. But that was his first Premier League goal for Manchester United. And, you know, it was a very, very good goal from Harry Maguire. Also, Bruno Fernandes hit the post, you know, from a free kick, you know, so he could have also, you know, scored his first, you know, Premier League goal for Manchester United. I think, you know, also Chelsea had hit the post in that. But it wasn't, the best game I've seen. That, there was some aspects of the game, where Man United played well. There was some aspects of the game, where Chelsea, played quite well in that. Also, we brought some substitutions on. We saw Andres Pereira come on for Daniel James. Also, Odi Nagalo came on towards the end. And Odi Nagalo, could have scored in his debut for the football club, because Odi Nagalo, had a great chance towards the end of the game and that. But he was unlucky, not to currently score. But this is a fantastic win for Manchester United because, I said, we needed to get back to winning ways in the Premier League because prior to this game tonight, we was winless in our last 3 Premier League games. And in our last 3 Premier League games prior to this one tonight, we didn't register, a single goal. But I'm going to give you the good performers tonight, who I think, played well for Manchester United. I think the back 3 did really, really well. I thought Maguire did well. I thought Bay did really, really well. He made some good interceptions. I also thought Luke Shaw did really, really well. And I thought, Fred and Matic and Bruno Fernandes also did well in that midfield. But no one was brilliant tonight, let's be honest about that. And I've got to say, I think Chelsea's best performer tonight, was probably Kovacic. Like I mentioned, Kovacic did really, really well in that first half and that. But tonight, just proves, that we can, do well against elite opposition. And we have done really, really well against elite opposition this season. We've beaten Chelsea tonight away from home. We drew with Liverpool earlier on this season. We're the only team to take any points from Liverpool this season. We beat Chelsea on the opening day 4-0. We're beating Leicester 1-0. We're beating Tottenham at home 2-1. We're beating Man City away 2-1. We're beating them in the Carabao Cup semi-final by 1-0, even though it wasn't enough for us to progress. But we still, did currently beat them. We've just got to improve our record against the lower opposition. Now, that is my element of concern. Now, our current next game in the Premier League is Watford. Our next game, though, is Club Brugge in the knockout stages of the Europa League. And that's another game, Manchester United do need to currently win that. But yeah, very, very impressed, with the result in that. We are now in that top 4 race. We do know that, obviously, 5th place is now a Champions League spot, reflecting on Manchester City's ban from the Champions League for the next 2 seasons. But I'd still like Manchester United to finish in that top 4, definitely in that. Of course, Man United have still got quite a few players out. Obviously, we've still got McTominay out, but, he's stepping up his fitness regime as McTominay. Don't forget he was part of the warm weather training camp in Spain, Marbella, but he's close now to returning. Also, too, Fosu Mensah is close to returning, and so too is Tuanzebe. Also, I've been giving you the latest news, haven't I? What's going on with Paul Pogba. I've been giving you the latest news of what's been going on with Paul Pogba. Obviously, Solskjaer had come out and said, Paul Pogba may never ever play for Manchester United again. He said, he's, facing a battle, to become fit again. But he is desperate, to play for Manchester United, is Paul Pogba. Like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, did, confirm, last month that Paul Pogba was expected to play, sometime this month. But now that is not the case. If he is to play again, the earliest, we are expecting Paul Pogba to be back is for the Manchester derby in a couple of weeks and that. But we know if Paul Pogba does play again and when he does return, we will dramatically improve in that midfield because we do need to improve in that midfield. But analysing the game tonight, we did make quite a few mistakes and that, at times we looked sloppy at the back, and a few times in the first half, we was playing backwards and that. But I did think, we had some decent spells in the game. I think what Solskjaer got wrong is, I think he went with the right formation, but, he shouldn't have put Luke Shaw at centre-half. He should have put Brandon Williams at left-back. I don't think Martial should have been playing in that number 9 role because that's not his predominant position, but it doesn't matter anywhere. We did still currently get the win. And don't forget, we had quite a few key players out, but on the other hand, Chelsea had, quite a few of their key players out as well. Obviously, we've been infuriated, with what Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, has come out and said. Obviously, he said, if Manchester United don't qualify for the Champions League this season, he said, he's likely to leave Manchester United this summer. And Mini Raiola did say that he's reiterated that, Juventus is his preferred destination. So this is what his agent, Mini Raiola, has said. And he did say that Paul Pogba did not come to the football club to not challenge for titles and that. So we're not happy, what Mini Raiola has said. But Solskjaer has given his overarching view on that, and he says Paul Pogba is our player, not Mini Raioola's. But it's likely that Paul Pogba will be leaving Manchester United in the summer. I think he's going to be making a return back to Turin, to be quite honest with you, because I think that's the player's preference, because Paul Pogba did enjoy 4 good years in Turin with Juventus, but since he rejoined Manchester United back in 2016, the vast majority of his performances have been totally comparison, to be quite honest with you in that. But he is still one of the best midfielders in the world. I think we've quoted out that we want around £130 million for Paul Pogba this summer. But it's very imperative, that we do, get more than what we paid for him, because we paid £89 million to him from Juventus back in 2016. So he is our most expensive signing in that. I'm surprised that Paul Pogba didn't leave the football club last summer, because he revealed last summer that he wanted to leave Manchester United, because he did say last summer, he wanted to leave the club because he was seeking for a new challenge. But last summer, he was relentlessly, linked with a move to Real Madrid. But obviously, reflecting on the substantial amount we put on Paul Pogba, his move didn't materialise to Real Madrid, because Real Madrid, were not willing to meet, the 150 or 160 million pounds we were demanding in that. But, Paul Pogba, hasn't only been subjected to transfer speculation, in the January transfer window. He wasn't only subjected to transfer speculation last summer. There was also a lot of talks about him leaving, under the Jose Mourinho era, because Paul Pogba, did enjoy a bad relationship with Jose Mourinho. I think we made a mistake getting rid of Paul Pogba when he was younger, because, don't forget, we had him under Alex Ferguson, made a couple of first team appearances, but due to limited appearances, we let Paul Pogba go on a free transfer. But on the other hand, he is stepping up his recovery from injury. I think it's now 1 month, since he had the surgery on his ankle, Paul Pogba, but he's only made 8 first team appearances this season as Pogba, due to his injuries. And I think in total, since he rejoined in 2016, he has made 150 appearances in all competitions and scored 31 goals. United fans have got different perceptions on Paul Pogba. Some United fans would like him to stay, and some United fans would like him to go. But if we can get Jack Grealish and James Maddison in the summer, then we can afford to let Paul Pogba go, because, we'll generate a substantial amount for his departure. And also, it will free up our wage bill if, we do let Paul Pogba go. But he is now heading into the final year of his contract. Man United do have an option to extend his contract by a further year. But I do believe, he is on his way to Juventus, is Paul Pogba, definitely. He is, on his way to currently Juventus and that. But, I do expect, more players to leave Manchester United in the summer. I think around 4 or 5 players are going to leave Manchester United in the summer, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. I do want Phil Jones to leave the club. I do want Matic to leave the club. I want Lingard, I want Pereira, I want Chon, and I want Luke Shaw, to leave Manchester United in the summer. And obviously, Solskjaer's confirmed there will be more departures in the summer. So obviously we're going to generate, some funds for their departure in the summer. We've already generated some funds, for some of the players, that did leave last summer, because around 9 senior players have left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival and that. But, we are making plans for the summer transfer window. I think it did say Solskjaer's going to be given around £274 million to spend this summer on bringing more players in. Obviously, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got recommended in, he has recommended 5 new additions to the squad. Obviously, last summer we bought Daniel James in for £15 million. We bought Anwan Bissaka in for £50 million. And we bought Harry Maguire in for £80 million. Harry Maguire, of course, is the second most expensive signing at the club and the most expensive defender in the world. He is now, of course, Manchester United's permanent captain, reflecting on Ashley Young's departure this year. And I think the club made the right decision by giving the captaincy to Harry Maguire on a permanent basis. And obviously in the January transfer window, we bought Bruno Fernandes in for £68 million. And of course, we did bring Odi Nagalo in. But furthermore, investment is definitely needed in the squad. Definitely, and in the summer, we have got to address the deficiencies in the squad. I think in the summer, Manchester United probably need around 3 or 4 signings. I think, we've got to get at least 1 striker in. We also need a right winger. I think we also need at least one midfielder, you know, possibly need a left back. You know, Luke Shaw did well tonight, but, you know, he's very injury prone, is Luke Shaw. Also, you know, has struggled for that consistency. I know Brandon Williams has done well, but he's too inexperienced at the moment. It's only his first season in the senior squad, so maybe we do need a left back. Possibly still need a centre half. You know, we need a cover up for we need centre half, you know, who can go alongside Harry Maguire. You know, then you can use Lindelof as a backup. I don't know what happened with Lindelof tonight. You know, was he ill? Is this why, you know, Lindelof, you know, wasn't participating in the game? But maybe we need someone at Harry Maguire's level to go alongside Harry Maguire in our back line and that. I know we kept a clean sheet tonight and we haven't conceded in our last 4 games, but I still feel as though, from my own perception, possibly we need another centre half because, you know, we have conceded a lot of goals this season, to be honest with you. But reportedly, you know, Ed Woodward come out, didn't he? You know, he wrote a fans forum and he did say, you know, he's going to back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with more transfers in the summer. This is what, you know, Ed Woodward had said. And you know, I can't estimate how much Manchester United have got, but, you know, we are going to spend a substantial amount in the summer on recruiting more players into Manchester United and that. Obviously, you know, top 4 now is alive. I think the only way Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be given another season at Manchester United, possibly, is if we can, you know, finish within the top six this season and, you know, we can secure European football. But if we know we don't get any European football and that, you know, then maybe, you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be sacked as Manchester United manager. You know, Solskjaer did come out and, you know, he says we can still attract players to the elite level even if we don't get any European football secured. But obviously we've got a better chance, you know, if we can get European football secured. So this is, you know, what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had come out and said. From a Chelsea perspective, you know, they'll be very, very disappointed with this result tonight. Obviously, you know, they had the opportunity to go 9 points clear of us, you know, tonight and that. You know, Chelsea, you know, will be very, very disappointed, definitely. Obviously, you know, they'll feel as though, like I mentioned, Harry Maguire should have been sent off. You know, maybe they'll feel as though at least one of their goals should have stood. They obviously, you know, got cancelled out through VAR and that. Now you can say that Frank Lampard has got a huge predicament ahead of him. You know, this is Frank Lampard's, first season as Chelsea manager. Like I mentioned on my preview, you know, I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Frank Lampard have got similarities as, you know, managers. You know, because obviously, you know, Frank Lampard is inexperienced as a manager. Also, too, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is inexperienced as a manager. But, you know, they were both very, very good players. Lampard enjoyed 13 great years with Chelsea as a player. You know, he scored 211 goals for them. So he's Chelsea's all-time leading goal scorer. And also, too, you know, Solskjaer enjoyed 11 great years as a player for Manchester United. Scored 126 goals in 366 appearances in all competitions and that. But they are both inexperienced as managers. But I do feel as though, you know, Chelsea, you know, will be determined to give Frank Lampard time and that, because he's only in his first season. You know, Lampard only began his managerial career last season with Derby, you know, because he did progress Derby to the playoff final. Obviously, you know, Chelsea have made their first signing under Frank Lampard. Of course, they did sign Hakim Ziyech from Ajax for around, 33 or 34 million pounds. So Chelsea, of course, are going to get him in the summer transfer window. Also, Chelsea have got quite a few other players on their agenda, you know, who they could go in for in the summer. I do probably presume that, you know, more players will leave Chelsea as well in the summer transfer window and that. Like I mentioned, you know, Chelsea's lineup didn't look very, very good tonight, you know, because like I mentioned, you had Tammy Abraham out, you know, Christian Pulisic out. You know, Alonso was also injured earlier on in the season, so Chelsea have had quite a few injuries this season, but Stamford Bridge is no longer a fortress, you know, like it was, you know, before and that, you know, because like I mentioned, we've got a disastrous record at Stamford Bridge, but, you know, we have now won our last 3 visits at Stamford Bridge, and, you know, it's very, you know, we seldom win at Stamford Bridge, you know, because like I said, tonight was our first win at Stamford Bridge in the Premier League since 2012. But, you know, Chelsea, you know, did enjoy a good start to the season under Frank Lampard, but, you know, analysing the vast majority of this season, you know, Chelsea have just, you know, basically, you know, not being good enough and that. And I just don't think Frank Lampard is the right man, you know, to elevate them forward. Like I said to you, I think Chelsea made a mistake last summer by getting rid of Eden Hazard. He endured 7 years at Chelsea, did Eden Hazard. Of course, Chelsea, we'll look at it from a financial point of view. They did generate a substantial amount for his departure, but, he was a really, really good player for Chelsea. Don't forget Chelsea did have a transfer ban, but obviously, they got this transfer ban, overturned and that. So, they would have been very, very happy about that. And like I mentioned, Chelsea have sacked a lot of managers in a short period of time. Like I mentioned, they sacked Maurizio Sarri at the end of last season after, he only enjoyed one season at Chelsea. He won the Europa League with Chelsea, so that got them automatic qualification for the Champions League. He also, got Chelsea to the League Cup final. He's now obviously in Italy again, and obviously now he's under pressure at Juventus. They sacked Antonio Conte. Even though he won the Premier League in his first season with Chelsea, Chelsea shouldn't have got rid of Antonio Conte. That was a mistake they did make. They got rid of Jose Mourinho. He endured 2 spells with Chelsea, won like 3 Premier League titles with them. But the main explanation why Chelsea got rid of Jose Mourinho is, with the club doctor. They also, got rid of Rafa Benitez. They got rid of Gus Higgins. They got rid of Di Matteo. They got rid of Grant. They got rid of Scolari. They got rid of Boas, despite the fact he won the Champions League with Chelsea. They got rid of Carlo Ancelotti, despite the fact he won the double with Chelsea. So Chelsea, have sacked a lot of managers in a short period of time. And, I think Chelsea have sacked more managers than us in the last 5 or 6 years, because we've sacked 3 managers since the Alex Ferguson era. Obviously, we sacked David Moyes after, he endured, 9 or 10 months with the club. We sacked Louis van Gaal after, he enjoyed like a year and a half with the club, despite the fact he won the FA Cup. And we sacked Jose Mourinho after he enjoyed a 2.5-year tenure at Manchester United, despite the fact he won the Europa League and the League Cup in his first season and got 2nd place in his first season. So Solskjaer is our 4th permanent manager since the Alex Ferguson era. My perceptions on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer haven't really changed. I still don't think he's the long-term solution for Manchester United, but maybe in some games this season I've credited him because I think he has tactically got it right. And like I've mentioned on my videos before, I think, the 3-5-2 suits our standards. We seem to, get good results when we go with 3 at the back. But when we go with a 4-2-3-1 formation, like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been going with on a regular basis this season, we haven't got a lot of good results when we've gone with a 4-2-3-1 formation. And from my own perception, I just don't think the 4-2-3-1 formation suits our standards. I think, we look much better, with 3 at the back. But I still don't feel as though, Solskjaer is the right manager for Manchester United. Of course, Solskjaer has been at Man United now for around 14 months. He's been here over the year now. And now he knows he's got many expectations to exceed at the football club. Hopefully we can get some silverware on the board this season. That's very, very imperative because we have lacked silverware in the last 6 or 7 years. We've only won like 3 trophies since the Alex Ferguson era. So, we can win the FA Cup this season. We are into the 5th round of the competition. We also, can win the Europa League. That's also another route to Champions League football. So hopefully, we can get, some silverware on the board. And obviously, that will put more confidence into the team. That will, put more confidence into the team, if we can, get some silverware on the board and that. But, like Solskjaer revealed at the beginning of this year, it is a transition period for Man United. And he said, he's hopeful that, we can get through this, current transition period and that. But I still don't think he's the right manager to elevate Manchester United forward. Like I said, if we can get European football secured, then maybe he will be given another full season at Manchester United. I think for my own perception, Solskjaer was very lucky to get the job in the first place as the interim manager. But the main explanation why we give Solskjaer the job on a permanent basis is reflecting on what he did, when he was the interim manager. Because, he did really, really well in that 3-month period when he was the interim manager, did Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and that. Then I thought, he was the right man to elevate Manchester United forward. Obviously, we've enjoyed our worst start to a Premier League season for 30 years. Obviously, his record at Man United is disastrous. But now, he's won. I think it's the same amount now. You know, he's won and lost the same amount of games now as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you know, reflecting on, you know, the 2-0 win tonight, you know, against Chelsea and that. But Solskjaer has still got 2.5 years left on his current deal at the football club, and he is on around £7.5 million a year. But like I mentioned to you before, there's not only problems with the management at the football club, you know, there's also problems, you know, the way the club's been run for several years. You know, a lot of United fans have got doubts about, you know, Ed Woodward, the executive chairman. We've also got doubts about the club's ownership because, you know, the Glazers have been generating money out of this football club for several years. And we've also, you know, got a lot of doubts about the current board, because our board have been a liability, you know, for several years and that. But, you know, like I said, you know, I'll back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer however long, you know, he is Manchester United manager. I can't see him seeing out, you know, the 2.5 years of his deal that he's got remaining on his contract unless something, you know, dramatically improves. So now, reflecting on this win tonight against Chelsea, we've got to build on that now, and we've got to go on a good run of form, because we have not won 3 games on the trot in the Premier League, I don't think, this season and that. So hopefully, you know, now, you know, we can go on a good run until May and that. Hopefully, you know, Manchester United can do this, but we have got games coming up thick and fast. You know, Club Brugge's coming up, Watford's coming up in the Premier League. I won't take that for granted because, you know, we haven't been so good against lower opposition this season. Don't forget, you know, we lost to Watford earlier on in the season in the Premier League 2-0. You know, we've got a tough game against Everton coming up on the beginning of next month. Everton have been in a good vein of form since Carlo Ancelotti got recommended in. I think Everton have only lost once since Carlo Ancelotti, you know, got recommended in. And then, of course, you know, the second leg against Club Brugge, and we've got Man City coming up on the 8th of March and that. So, you know, games are now coming up thick and fast for Manchester United. But, you know, we have had a lot of injuries this season, but that's not excusable for how inconsistent we've been. But, you know, more players are now coming back from injury, you know, which is very, very good. You know, obviously, you know, we'll look much better when Marcus Rashford comes back. Obviously, you know, Rashford has been out, you know, Rashford's out with a back injury for at least the next couple of months. And like I mentioned, you know, Rashford has been one of our best players this season. But Odi Nagalo, you know, is a good cover-up to Marcus Rashford, to be fair. You know, like I mentioned, came on towards the end of tonight's game, had a big chance, could have scored on his debut. But I think, you know, he will get his opportunities as a Manchester United player, will Odi Nagalo. Solskjaer did say, you know, if he is to hit the ground running straight away, then maybe, you know, we could get Odi Nagalo on a permanent transfer. You know, this is what, you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had said. But he is a good cover-up to Rashford, and he's also a good alternative to Anthony Martial. So take that into account and that. But like I mentioned, you know, a lot of money's been invested at Manchester United in the last 6 or 7 years. I think nearly £1 billion has been invested into the football club in the last 6 or 7 years. You know, obviously, you know, we spent like, 67 million under David Moyes. He brought Fellaini and Juan Mata in. You know, we spent around 258 million under Louis van Gaal. You know, he brought the likes of Schneiderlin in, Sebastian Schweinsteiger. You know, Schneiderlin, like I mentioned, you know, Falcao, Memphis Depay, Daley Blind, you know, Di Maria. So Louis van Gaal brought a lot of players in, but he also let a lot of players go. You know, Jose Mourinho, you know, he recommended 11 players into the club and spent around, 400 million, or was it just under 400 million pounds on, you know, on them. So analysing it, you know, the vast majority of these players are Jose Mourinho's, and Solskjaer, you know, is still inheriting the vast majority of them. So, you know, take that into account as well. And, you know, we've also got the highest wage bill in the Premier League. So, you know, currently take that into account as well. Obviously, you know, I've been keeping up to date with the transfer news and that, you know, the players that Manchester United have been linked with. Nothing much more has updated regarding the transfers. I updated you earlier on, didn't I, regarding Jadon Sancho, Jack Grealish and James Maddison. Obviously, you know, they are on our agenda for this summer. And if we are to get them 3 players in the summer, they would probably cost Manchester United in the excess of £280 million. Jadon Sancho will cost us around £120 million. And Jack Grealish and James Maddison will cost us around £160 million. But, you know, they will dramatically improve us. And since Solskjaer's come in, you know, we've spent around £220 million on, you know, bringing new players in and that. But yeah, so like I mentioned, very, very good result tonight for Manchester United against Chelsea. And hopefully now, you know, we can keep this good run of form up. And I think in the game against Club Brugge, you know, we need to go with 3 at the back. Solskjaer will make some changes in the game against Club Brugge. I probably presume in that game he will start Mason Greenwood, because Mason Greenwood, you know, does tend to start a lot in, you know, the cup games and that, but in the Premier League doesn't really get enough starts. But he will make some changes in the game against Club Brugge. And I think, you know, in the game against Watford, you know, he also should go with 3 at the back. Definitely in that. But I still believe Martial needs to play on the left-hand side. I don't think he's good enough as a number 9, but he did score tonight, which was very, very good in that. So, yeah. So, anyway, guys, drop me comments, likes, below on this channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.